Painting portraits of transgender victims of fatal violence. I retell their stories. I create creative writings to deal with the emotions that I'm feeling at the time. I try to keep their memory alive. I want to raise awareness and continue to advocate for those with no voice. Now, if you do the numbers, that's 99 trans people that have been murdered since 2015. So imagine the trauma that members of the LGBTQ population endure. LGBTQ youth experience trauma at higher rates than their heterosexual peers. Common traumas experienced by these youth include bullying, harassment, loss, intimate partner violence, physical and sexual abuse, stigma, rejection. Skip this slide. I don't think I did. If you haven't heard of the ACE study, there it is. If you haven't heard of the ACE study, please look it up. ACE stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. The original study was conducted from 1995 to 1997, where researchers conducted an investigation as to the impact of childhood abuse and neglect on later life and well-being. Now, what the study found was almost 2/3 of study participants reported at least one ACE, and almost 1 in 5 reported 3 or more ACEs. So in essence, the more trauma you are exposed to, the more you are likely to experience some of these ACEs, such as alcoholism, depression, drug abuse, sexual promiscuity, sexual transmitted disease, intimate partner violence. The list goes on. I know I've said a lot, and I know I've said some sad stuff, and I don't want the words that I'm sharing with you to depress you. I actually really wanted to outrage you. Isn't that cute? The outrage is strong with this one. It is. It is strong with me. As outraged as I am at this moment, I am outraged that too many LGBTQ youth feel as if they have no other options but suicide. I am outraged at the stereotypes and myths that are placed on our children. I am outraged at the anti-LGBTQ violence that plagues this country. I don't want to be outraged alone. So I need for you to take and remember these words: outrage to action. Everybody say with me: outrage to action.
Outrage to action.
Outrage to action.
Outrage to action.
I want you to be outraged. So outraged that you spring into action. Not outraged in a violent or terroristic way. I'm not asking you to go out and hurt anybody, okay? But outraged nonetheless. So outraged that you don't stand idly by and listen to another person use words as a weapon. So outraged that you intentionally pour love and respect into all of our children. So outraged that you educate yourself on LGBTQ issues and terminology. So raise your hand if you're going to be outraged with me today. You're going to be outraged with me today? That's great. I mean, that's good participation, right? There are people wanting to be mad. Now, I want you to exhale. Close your eyes and breathe. Just breathe for a second. Just breathe. Earlier, I wanted, you can open your eyes. All right. Everybody breathe, exhale, good. Earlier, I wanted to talk to you about believing, right? Believing in our children and the power of belief. And I opened up and I used data and other research to get you to understand how important it is for our children to make it through the trauma, make it through the pain, make it through the depression, make it through the family rejection, make it through homelessness, just for being who they are. As educators, we have the power to influence the course of events in the lives of our children, specifically in our schools, in our classrooms, in our buildings. Can we make magic happen without believing in our children? I don't think we can. We must believe in them. So, what do I mean by belief? Belief is distinct from judgment, which is a conscious mental act that involves arriving at a conclusion about a proposition, thus creating a belief. If you believe something to be true, you must be willing to act as if it were true. Thus, it is our duty to believe that all children are normal, regardless of gender identity, expression, sexual orientation. It is our duty to believe that all children will do everything they set their mind to. And as educators, we use our knowledge. As educators, we use our skills. As educators, we use our experience to assist them in becoming empathetic, lifelong learners who will achieve academic success in anything they set their mind to. So this is why our actions are so important. You see, we can think and talk all day about what we believe, but we can't read a person's mind. But what I do know for certain is that your actions speak louder than words. And your actions, if your actions are consistent with what you say you believe, if your actions are consistent with what you say you believe, then we can see that through your actions. Dr. King said, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about what matters. So you can't believe that all of our children are normal, regardless of gender identity, expression, or sexual orientation, then turn around and misgender them. You can't believe, then suspend them for being forced to defend themselves. You can't believe and refer to them in a way that is not respectful and understanding. And those of us that sit by and say nothing and do nothing, what does that say about your beliefs? I'm not asking anyone in here to deny your beliefs or your values. I'm asking you to see beyond them. I'm asking you to humanize every child you come in contact with. Talk to them. Learn about them and the trauma that comes with learning about them. Have conversations with people who you know don't share your values and have different beliefs. For it is only through exposure and conversations that we can eventually come to see how damaging some of our current beliefs are. I want you to think about something before I close. That's my time. My time is good. This is a quote that I think is pretty relevant to our conversation. It's from a book called Paraphrase. People change their hair and diet themselves down to near death, don't they? They take steroids to build muscles and get breast implants and nose jobs and other injections and stuff now. They change names, they change majors, they change jobs, they change husbands more than once, they change wives more than once. They change religions and political parties. They move across the country or the world and even change nationalities. So why is it that gender is the one sacred thing we're not supposed to change? Who made that rule? Barbara Jordan said, we will change in order to satisfy the present, or we will change in order to satisfy our future. So if our children are our future, and I say they are, we must see beyond our beliefs. We must see beyond our beliefs and see them for who they are. I challenge you to be intentional. Challenge you to be empathetic. I challenge you to model tolerance and understanding for those who are perceived to be different. I have a few takeaways for everyone. Now, so the onus is on us to prove that we are different from the rest of society. And your being here sends a huge message that we're different. Use inclusive language to address your classes. Good morning, class. Good morning, scholars. Provide the opportunity for every student to identify a preferred name or pronoun. Group students in a way that does not rely on gender. Try last names or colors or shapes. Avoid putting them in boys and girls lines. Explore your own beliefs and stereotypes and assess your own comfort level with your own sexual orientation and gender identity. Educate yourself. Check to see if your school library is inclusive of LGBTQ writers and other history. Ensure that health education classes are inclusive of LGBTQ youth in a positive manner. Avoid over-sexualizing LGBTQ youth. They are no different than any other child. Challenge negative and derogatory language. Respect confidentiality. Remember that sexual orientation and gender identity are not one and the same. Honor and reflect on your own privilege. I want you to be exposed to conversations with people who espouse different beliefs. We are not going to always agree. It's good to have conversations with people that are not going to be yes men, and you can have conversations to understand their beliefs, and maybe you can get them to see in a different way. Send letters to your representatives urging them to pass Senate Bill S8676 that will require schools to adopt an LGBTQ awareness curriculum and instruction. Those are critical things that I hope that you will walk away from. In the lobby you see the Stolen Lives Project. I think there are about 15 pieces out there. Next to some of those pieces are creative writings that I felt were indicative of the pain that I know I experienced as I read through and did the research on the trans murders. Still to this day, I struggle with the feelings of rejection even in my own family. I have a twin brother, my other siblings, and we were raised in the South. And I don't always fit. And almost 50, I feel like sometimes I don't always fit, with my family. So it's still a struggle. So when I started the Stolen Lives Project, and it's dealing specifically with transgender victims of fatal homicide and all this advocacy work, that I'm doing with that specific population, my family was a bit confused. And they probably want to ask me, well, are you planning to transition? It's like, well, why do I have to want to transition or need to transition to advocate for those with no voice? And so it continues to be a struggle for all of us when we're dealing with people that don't really understand. That's why we need to take every moment as a teachable moment. So as I wrap up, I know I said that 3 times. That's what preachers do. As I wrap up, as I close, As I wrap up, I want to thank the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Rogers, for being here, for taking the time to be here with Syosset High School for hosting this wonderful event. Gabby and her phenomenal GSA students for the work that they're doing. To all the sponsors, thank you for believing in Edcamp and Alyssa. I want to thank my beautiful wife, who's here in the audience, my Roosevelt family. Roosevelt family, everybody from Roosevelt, stand up. I'm putting you on Front Street. Everybody from Roosevelt. Come on, Roosevelt family, stand up. All right. Roosevelt people, stand up. And last but not least, a huge thank you to Alyssa Waters, who continues. Who organized this wonderful event today and continues to advocate on behalf of the LGBTQ community. I want to leave you with this. If you take nothing else from the words I've shared with you this morning, I want you to remember this. How we walk with the broken, speaks louder than how we sit with the great. I'm not saying that all children are broken. I'm saying that some of them are broken. And the things that we say and do to them continue to crush their self-esteem. LGBTQ youth already struggle with just their identity or their sexual orientation. So if we pour into them love and care, show them that you believe in them. You remember the opening song? I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. If we teach them well, they will lead the way. Because it's kind of scary right now. It's kind of scary right now with some of the things that we're seeing, some of the things that we're experiencing. So it is up to us to teach them well and let them lead the way. Please take the time to review and read the notices out there by the Stolen Lives Project. And I thank you so much for your time this morning.
Just over your time. I'm just saying.